Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Vision radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission radio show. Today is Friday, March 11th, 2016. Normally we have call-in Fridays, but today, in commemoration of the worst catastrophic event that has ever happened in human history, I decided that I was going to use this show to do what we call a little symposium for life. That's where a few of us have made friends because of Fukushima. Specifically, we only met because of Fukushima. And we have been conducting something online and doing a few symposiums. We started them recently called the Symposium for Life. So we decided to have a Symposium for Life where we discuss. Today is really going to be about whatever anybody wants to, how we all feel. I think a lot of us have a lot of feelings about it. We've devoted a lot of our time here. So let me introduce to you our guests today. We have Mr. Thomas Ackerman from Canada and Mr. Billy Johnstone from Scotland. So this is what I mean. I'm in Oregon, and I've made friends with someone in Scotland and Canada. So welcome, gentlemen.
Salute.
Salute to you.
Scotland.
Well, look.
It's 4 p.m. here.
Let's start. We probably all can tell the story of where we were and what we did and how we did it, but let me just ask you with this question first, because those are the standard questions. I want to ask this question. 5 years in, I don't know where you guys live, but where I live, not one peep on mainstream media about the 5-year ongoing nuclear volcano. How does that make you guys feel?
Where do you go, Tom?
First of all, I want to say I really appreciate Lonnie's efforts. She has really picked this ball up incredibly. She has a radio program, Age of Vision Radio. This is an ignominious day. It's probably is going to go down in infamy in history, this anniversary these days, in the future. And I want to say that I appreciate truly, Lonnie, your effort at exposing this catastrophe to the world in the best way that you can, and that we all can. And your question. So I just wanted to say that to you, Lonnie, and top of the morning. I
couldn't do anything else. So,
yes, I understand, and I think this is your word in the beginning was that you've made friends. I think this is a very important word. Friendship and friends in this struggle that we face, because quite frankly, I really feel quite alone, and except for the people that I've met online and even met up with them physically now, people that are on this page, understanding how serious, how absolutely serious this is. And one of the difficult things I think in history too, especially among artists, is that they naturally feel alone, because if they're doing meaningful work, they tend to be on the periphery of things. So I quite naturally drifted into this on March 11th when this catastrophe happened in 2011. It was almost like I could not have not perceived it, if you know what I mean. It's like my nature. It's like in order for me to...
So that's the opposite of me, Tom.
What do you mean?
I didn't perceive it when it happened. I believed everything Barack Obama said 100%, that it was just perfect. I went, oh, thank God they were able to get those fire trucks in there. That's what I thought.
Well, you know, we have...
I mean, I want to bring you back to your feelings. How do you feel 5 years later? 5 years later, the ocean is visibly dying. How do you feel about today when there's not one peep in the mainstream media, or out of your friends, or out of people near you?
Okay, I'm not... You see, what my feeling is that it is so overwhelming on some level to me. I can't honestly metabolize the consequences of this in any rational way. So my outlet is making art, making paintings that allows me to digest part of this in some way. Lonnie, honestly, I am blocked in my feelings in many ways around this, because if it's either complete, total, utter despair and sadness, to complete, utter, total outrage and anger. I want to kick the shit out of somebody because of this. This is sort of, and then I feel like totally in a cocoon of sadness and depression at times. And the only thing that I feel has kept me going is, number one, making my work, and having found, and this is very important, I want to talk about this a bit more, and I want Billy to come in this as well, because I found both you and Billy as friends, which has made a huge difference for me to be able to metabolize. When I say metabolize, trying to understand what it means for an ocean to be destroyed. How can a small human being comprehend that, if you know what I'm saying?
I do. Let me, Kevin Finnegan, who I call Baby Wolf, just walked in the room. He's actually moved out. He's relocated to the West Coast and is staying in my spare room till he finds his own place. But anyways, I invited him in on the symposium. He arrived this week. It was very important for him to be out here and do some type of protest or do something out here. So welcome, Kevin.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, everybody.
Terrific.
Hey, good morning, Ackerman.
Hello, young Finnegan. Good to hear your voice.
Awesome. How are you, man?
You know what's really great about this is he's out of New York. He's from New York, which I've been jumping up and down about. You know, I believe New York's having a very catastrophic event.
Indian Point, yes.
Yes. So, but anyways, Billy, how do you feel? This is the thing. I agree with what you say, Ackerman. It's almost like you reflect our sentiments exactly, but.
Lonnie, let me go back to the question you asked about how we think about the media silence today on the 5th anniversary.
That's the point. Yes.
I've been on the road. I was up really early. My son was swimming up in Edinburgh. I was in the car at 5:30 this morning, and I had Radio Scotland on for my 2-hour journey. And the first broadcast I heard was a Scottish guy who is their link in Japan, Radio Scotland's go-to man, obviously, and he was trying to get in on the Fukushima subject, but the interviewer kept going back to the tsunami, and this guy was wanting to speak about Fukushima, but he was kind of getting blocked. And as on the half hour, there was more updates on the news, but they molded every half hour or hour. They molded this chap's interview into something else, like not mentioning at all Fukushima.
Right.
Just mentioning the tsunami. It was really BBC are evil. The BBC over here.
Well,
sorry, on you go.
Go ahead, Billy.
No, that's all I was saying. It just shows you how initially it started off. Fukushima was mentioned in the cover-ups and the blackouts, and he was mentioning the government. They brought new laws in, didn't they, to silence people about Fukushima. And he brought that into the subject, but later on, that was all cut out of the interview.
No.
The BBC hierarchy got to it and they cut it up and made it into what they wanted it to be. It's insane what they're doing.
Well, they've been doing it. I saw that same thing happen on 9/11. The morning of 9/11, the coverage in the United States completely changed. I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:10, something like that, to the news about what happened. By noon, the whole media coverage had changed, and some of the information that came out in the morning was completely off of the story, vital information. So,
Lonnie, I'll butt in again here, right? I said this to Thomas last month. Right, when Fukushima first happened, what did Germany do? Germany said, "Whoa, we are stopping all nuclear. Nuclear is bad." They thought everybody else would go on to their way of thinking. But they looked around about them and thought, everybody's keeping quiet here about this. So obviously they said they were going to stop all nuclear. This was the worst thing that ever happened, nuclear accident. And what are they doing now? Just joining the gang. They're just, the silence from them is the same as the silence from Russia. RT, the radio, the TV news channel, who I go to find different, news that you don't get on BBC. Even they're quiet, so they're in unison. All the media in the world are in unison on this silence. So how can that be? That's what really bothers me, Lonnie.
Well, how can it be is that it's run from the top.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's like across here, I heard, Guy McPherson was on CNN. They told him they wanted him on to talk about global warming. And he told them before the show that he was planning on saying that Fukushima was exacerbating the problem, that really we have this nuclear volcano and it's untold amounts. I mean, it's unprecedented. I mean, 100,000, more than 100. If they're saying 100,000 tons, it's probably, a lot, 1,000 tons. I mean, you can double it exponentially. They lie off of their heads. But they told him if he mentioned Fukushima or radiation, they would cut his mic and he would never be on television again. So that's what we're up against, and this is the silence. And what's interesting is the socialization around it. You talk to people, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're that radiation nut." Well, you're the one who always likes to talk about radiation and how it's going to kill us. I'm like, no, it's about protecting yourself from the effects of a toxin that we can't see, taste, or touch.
I wonder, Lonnie, I wanted to ask Billy this, how he deals with this on a personal level, though. I mean, we know that there is a trickle-down silence going on, and you have established yourself as a very strong voice in the alternate media with the radio show and your activism. I think that's a part of your therapy, actually. You cannot stand by. We're like trying to figure out somehow how we can deal with this and be effective still as human beings, considering the monumentality of this event. And I'm wondering, Billy, how does it work for you? Like the idea of waking up in the morning knowing that this isn't being dealt with the way it needs to be dealt with, and knowing this.
Tom, it's right. You've got to accept that I can't change it. I can only make people aware, and it cannot be changed. The genie is out of the bottle, Tom. That's the terminology I use to people. It can't be put back in. And I just try and eat away at people. If I catch somebody and they listen to me, I've got one, Tom, but quite a lot of them just think I'm crazy. And
right.
You probably have to deal with that as well, Tom,
Well, Billy, I have a question for you, if you don't mind me asking. It's a bit personal, but do your children, I know you have children that are under 18, do they ask you about this, and how do you relate that to them? What do you say?
Well, the oldest one's 17, and I was taking him up this morning to Edinburgh to swim, and when the first Fukushima mentioned in the radio, he looked out, his ears pricked up and said, "Dad, they're talking about it." So I mean, the oldest child, he knows. He knows what I've told him.
Yeah.
He's watched some Kevin Blanche videos and Dana videos.
Yeah.
The other two, they're young yet. Well, they're not 15 and 13 coming, but I don't go on about it with them. Like, just the oldest one really. I told Kevin Blanche. I told Kevin
But have
Blanche
they
this.
asked you questions? Have they? I mean, what do you tell them when they ask you questions? What do you say to them?
Well, I don't really ask any questions.
Oh, really?
It's me. It's usually forcing the information to the oldest child.
Again, like my friend, nobody. That's the thing, and you're exactly right, Tom. The sense of isolation, like we do feel. This is the beautiful. This is kind of the ironic, the serendipity effect of what happened here, because really we have connected and met with a group of really strong spirits around the planet, and I myself have discovered that, frankly, there are thousands and thousands of people who want to end the nuclear thing, but the military control, the fascism is so complete. Nobody can get through the rock. I mean, it's almost like ironic that I believe that it's run by the Queen, and I can talk about the Queen because I'm an American. I believe it is run by the Queen, the whole nuclear thing. I think she's, like the Iron Castle. There's a castle around the entire nuclear industry, and there's a fortress that we have not broken through yet. And I hope it is not going to be the cost of life on our planet.
I would concur. I would say it's a rot from the highest places down. It's a rot. It's a social rot that is set in from the highest places down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because it's not just the Queen. You're absolutely right.
I mean, I live in the UK, right, in the northern part called Scotland, but I mean, I don't rate the Queen. Like, I've no time for the royal family, but I don't know if they're responsible. Maybe.
Well, she sure owns a lot of the uranium around the world. Let me put
she does. Well, I mean, I don't know. It must be a family thing, but she's just a figurehead. She's a helpless old lady,
I mean, I know what you're saying. It's not her, the individual. It's the
no.
That's what I'm talking about. The institution of.
She's a puppet along with the rest of them.
It's really a military machine, much like what the United States, like our deep state. We now have the deep state. We don't have one government in the United States.
Lonnie, when Jeff Rense's friend, is it Yoshi? What do you call him, Tom?
Yes, I know.
Yoshi, he when Dana was first taken to court, Yoshi linked the Woods Hole, whatever they're called, right back to the Pentagon. So that's what we're dealing with. This military. And they've got bottomless pockets. They've got.
Yes. And look, it's about they have no intention of stopping the nuclear program without regard to any life on the planet. That's what Goffman said over and over and over again. That's why he wrote, this book titled The Irreverent Illustrated View of Nuclear Power, that's all he talks about through the whole thing. This is from page 65. In the book, it's called Sane Solutions, right? Just a random chapter, one sentence, it says, the inordinately stupid and irresponsible handling of lead by our society, by our society is undoubtedly one of the worst societal crimes with the greatest injury and hence injustice concentrating in the ghetto and on the poor. For nuclear apologists to justify the stupidity of handling tons of plutonium, which is what a major nuclear power program requires, by stating that we can handle tons of lead is simply too irresponsible to withstand a challenge. This was written long ago. You can randomly pick up this book.
Lonnie, could you tell me the name of that book, please? I was trying to find that book in Edinburgh yesterday. Can you tell me the name of that book?
An Irreverent Illustrated.
The book with Goffman wrote.
Well, it kind of has a parentheses. It's called Irrevery, IRREVY. If you look on the side of the book, that's what it says, Irrevery, IRREVY, with quotes around it.
By Goffman?
Send me a link to that later.
Okay, Lonnie. I will. And I'll take a picture of the book and send it to you that way also.
That'll do, Lonnie. Thank you.
Yeah, well, actually, I should just go on Amazon and order it for you if you send me your address. So, Because I bought this book on Amazon for like, I don't know, or Abe's Books for like $5. Something silly.
Well, I'll
so you guys, look, this is a thing. Here we are on the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning on March 11th. Here's a person who's barely 25 years old sitting beside me who's moved from New York because his hometown is being contaminated.
Wow, yeah.
He's wise. He's wise, you know. What more can he say? He knows. You know, I say 50 miles from Sellafield. It's not ideal, but
yeah. Well, the thing is, we don't have a choice. It's like the people in St. Louis. What are you going to do if you own a house in St. Louis and you have a job and you're just making your mortgage and paying your bills and you have no real assets and no savings account or your savings is in, you know, you can't just pick up and leave. You can't. It's impossible. Many of these people don't have the means to leave. They're living right next door to a nuclear dump site. So I guess when we talk to them about Fukushima, they're like, "Yeah, so get used to it."
They live with it day in and day out, don't they? But it's just recently that a lot of them are waking up to it, Lonnie. It's just recently a lot of them are waking up to it, though, through those mums in St. Louis. They're waking that whole town up, aren't they?
Well, they are having their own come to Jesus moment when they have, like me, where I was a few years ago. But they've been doing this 5 years, and I don't know. I mean, many of them still believe if they just move the radiation, it'll be fine. And they don't, yeah.
Sorry, inside.
And it's already done the damage. And it's, you know, this is the thing. Like, I personally believe St. Louis should be abandoned. I think everybody should evacuate. That's what I think.
The irony in all of this is that I've done videos on this expressing the idea that if it's not happening to me, it's not happening. And the irony is what young Finnegan just said, it's already inside us. And I understand this. I know this. I am being affected. I am being affected. I know I'm being affected. Like everybody is being affected. Whether you're in, even in the southern part of the globe, down south as well. I mean, they're all affected. Everybody's affected. It's happening to us, people. It's happening to every person. It's not just somewhere in Japan. It's happening to every single person. Every life form on this planet is being affected. And just because you can't prove it, it doesn't smell, it doesn't taste, it doesn't look like anything. It's just sort of this insidious, invisible monster covering everything now. And how do you fight? It's like the tobacco industry. At least you could see the damn smoke.
The only thing that we can do is what Dr. Bob says. Be really happy. Keep your body moving, exercise, because we're not going to just roll over and die. It's about the quality of our life. And we can't worry about, are we going to reproduce in 100 years? What matters is our lives and our children, our family, our present, our people, our friends. It comes down to that.
That would be a start, Lonnie. That would be a start.
I mean, it is very important for us to treat. This is what I was thinking about this morning. I actually was giving this some thought about. We're kind of on the precipice. Love is life. Hate is death. And that's where we're at in a lot of what's going on. Like people, they're promulgating hate and fear. The nuclear industry it's so deep, people know how harmful it is. That's not the issue.
Fear is currency. Fear is a currency now. Fear is like you can trade fear. You can trade a currency called fear.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. It is. But
should be on the FX.
Look, we don't have to buy it. We don't have to use their currency. This is the thing. Like, we have a choice as human beings. We all have a choice. And we all have a choice to live, to die, or to just like, okay, if you're passive and you're doing nothing, you're on your road to death. The only way you can live your life is to engage it and appreciate it. And forgive quickly. It is so important. Like Bob is right. We need to eat healthy, exercise, and be happy. And how do we be happy? It's through what matters, our friends, our family, and love. And it's easy to forgive. We do not have to hang on to the anger of being angry at everybody.
People need to escape from that box in their living room, Lonnie, that TV. That media.
I'm an unapologetic television watcher. After working till 15 hours, 14 hours yesterday, I stayed up and watched my DVR of Survivor. So I'm going to out myself.
Survivor. Still at that, Lonnie.
I know. But you know what? Like, it was really like,
Survival.
I know. I am really, honestly, I'm pretty forthright with you guys. I think it's important for us to just be who we are. There's nothing wrong. That show was really interesting because the whole concept of being as I was watching it, I was thinking about it. People are out there, they're not really, I mean, they're put in catastrophic situations, but they're not really surviving. Are they going to survive to win $1 million? We're talking about, I was thinking tomorrow morning we're going to be talking about how do we help our species survive? How do we help all the animals? Since the beginning of this year, I read an article this morning, we've already had something like 307 strandings down in San Diego of sea lions. I know last week I counted, we had 89 dead whales around the world. 89. I mean, catastrophic deaths are going on, and every scientific community is keeping their freaking trap shut.
We all know this, Lonnie, now over 5 years. We're in a 5-year anniversary. This has been going on exactly today, like it did from day number 1, right?
That's right.
So here we are. Okay.
That's called the 90% rule, Ackerman.
Okay, let's go with your Goffman 90% rule thing. Now, you mentioned, okay, we got to be forgiving. Okay, very good, Lonnie. I have an even more challenging task. It's much harder to ask for forgiveness. Too many people are out there. You know, you can sit in your church pews and forgive everybody. Meanwhile, it's not who you're supposed to forgive. People need to seriously ask for forgiveness on this one. I mean, this is not, I'm not going to forgive anybody. You got to ask for forgiveness because, and I really, you know, with Finnegan sitting there, and he's a young blood and the future, and I feel so badly that this has occurred on my watch, and this is part of my commitment. Is I have young nieces and nephews, and my commitment is it was on my watch. I kind of missed Chernobyl. I missed Chernobyl. It was like, okay, they fixed it. You know, it's like, but it's not fixed. Chernobyl's not fixed. It's continuing to go. They're trying to cover it up with something. So the idea of creating a platform where we actually start to have an effect is exactly what's happening on this radio program today, is that individuals, just like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I don't have much contact anymore. I used to have more shows and museums were interested, but that's not happening. So I have to find an alternative to this feeling that I have. And I think, Lonnie, you wanted to talk about the feeling that is in our environment. It's like how our emotions, we need to find some strength, what you call the happiness. Frankly, I can't be very happy. It's very difficult for me. And I want to see some hardcore apologies. That's to start with. That's what I want to see. You know, the people that have caused this, I want this to be, you know, to create a transformation. When people have this epiphany, they, you know, like I say, I feel really badly for having missed this until, you know, 3/11/11. I missed this. I totally missed this. So,
you know what, I think you're absolutely right, but I think it's also, I have said this repeatedly, that we really need the nuclear scientists. We need the people who have been ignoring it and twisting like pretzels to lie to us and tell us it's okay. We need them to be honest and really demand the free scientific hand to look for solutions and to help us find ways to remediate and protect ourselves instead of sticking with the status quo healthcare for profit. Let's lie to everybody and let people die. We need the scientific community. So perhaps your statement that, you know, if we could find a way for them to just apologize and move on. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want the Nuremberg trials with the nuclear industry. Yeah. What we want is, we want the truth. We want the facts. We want the reality. We want to save our planet. And the only way we can do that is by utilizing the scientific minds that helped create the situation can solve it. They have the capacity.
And that won't happen, I think, Lonnie, until there is a spiritual transformation in people. They have to come, like you call it, the get to Jesus moment or something.
It's like Jesus moment,
yeah. You got to somehow find some connection to that inner part in each of us that actually says, oh my God, you know, I feel terrible about this. And then, you know, out of this comes some kind of action, I think. I'm not sure what the solution on the physical side of this is. I don't know, but it's out there. I think there is a solution. I believe there is a solution here, but it's just not being applied. And that's a whole other story. You could do a program. I listen to people talk about this, the subterfuge, the sort of challenges we face by this, this trickle down deviancy that's out there. It's like, I have no explanation for it, other than I understand within my own self that I am capable of doing things, but we can choose. We have the ability to bear frustration when we are not satisfied with something. I think we have that ability to bear the frustration, to do the right thing, what I call conscience. And each person, this transformation, when I make a painting, this is what I want to instill somehow. I want to create this feeling that we can actually be better. I can be a better person. Everybody has the ability to be a better person. And you know how I go on about conscience. It's like that's sort of the 101 of being.
Yeah, you know, this is the thing. Our thoughts are things. This is why it's important for us. I mean, Billy, as a parent, you know this. You have to not allow your children to speak negatively all the time, because then they start doing worse. Like, it's what we decide we're going to do. And this is why on 3/11, 5 years later, we have a nuclear volcano going on. Not one peep out of the media. Our friends think we're lunatics, and yet the cancer is off the charts. Heart attacks are off the charts. People they're catastrophic illnesses, diseases, rashes, autoimmune diseases, animals dying. It's all around us, and yet we're expected to stay calm. I don't know.
Lonnie, I mean, I'm quite late to the Fukushima thing, right? It was Dina Dunford that woke me up, then latterly Kevin Blanche. But I always thought the media silence. I mean, when the tsunami first happened, we heard about the nuclear plant getting hit. Then it was silence. So I was always playing in my mind silent, because you better not forget that we, over in Scotland and the UK, we got badly hit with Chernobyl. And I've been in farms when the people, even in the last 8 years, when people have been there testing sheep for Chernobyl fallout. So it was always, I mean, it's always been at the fore what nuclear can do to us. So, in my mind anyway, and the contamination it can cause everybody, not just sheep. People think that sheep can catch it, but they can show up in sheep, but not human beings. How insane are they? But
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean that's why the nuclear thing's always been in my head, because Chernobyl was quite
Right.
close to this year.
Yeah.
And
I like to-
Sellafield is down the road too, isn't it? Sellafield is down
Well,
the
Sellafield, here's another example of the BBC. The June after 2 years ago, this June, the BBC News came on, BBC Scotland came on. The alarms are going off. The safety alarms are going off in Sellafield. This was in the morning. Then the news later on, it diluted. It was, it's nothing. Everybody's been asked to go back to work. It's fine. The next day, do you know what the cause? You know what they put the cause down to? Just background radiation. It was radon gas. I think they were picking up Fukushima radiation. Actually, the monitors. That's what set them off. Anyway, I'm going to do a wee thing here, right, Lonnie? I'm going to thank a few people here who have really been great in the cause in the last 5 years. I've got a wee list here, Lonnie. I'll just take me a minute to rattle it off, if you don't mind.
Please do.
I'd like to thank the first two, it goes without saying, Kevin Blanche and Dana Dunford. The work they do is, and the earache they get from trolls, and as you do yourselves, guys.
I just delete them.
We've got Radchick here, we've got Thomas and Lonnie yourselves, Miss Milky the Clown, we've got Janet Saxon Peck, who's been a great funder of Dana and others. We've got Missing Sky, he's got YouTubers here, Missing Sky, a chap called Leonard Noodle Ways. Have you come across him, Lonnie and
Yes.
and Thomas? He's doing some good work. We've got Glenn Woodford, the crazy man. He's doing some. He does some great videos. We've got
Salute, Glenn. Yeah.
Yes. We've got obviously we've got our own Myrid McDonald and Patrick McCormick.
Fabulous, yes.
We can't be here. We've got Shane Russell, Troy Livingston. We've got Andrew Abusu, the great filmmaker we had on the Symposium last 2 months ago. He does great work, and I'm looking forward to his film coming out.
Fabulous.
His movie. And I've added to the bottom here Kevin Finnegan, near Kevin, because I better not forget you. But I mean, I've forgot plenty, and there'll be plenty there that I've not mentioned. But I'd like to thank everybody who has helped in this cause, financially or every way. There you go.
They've helped us. You're listed people that make me feel not so alone with this. That's a big thing. That's a huge thing. Whatever physically, practically they accomplish, just I want them to know that I don't feel so alone because they're out there.
Well, that's the point of it. I want to. Thank you for mentioning all those people. Really, Billy, because really they have. Kevin Blanche. I didn't even know Dana Durnford. I met Dana. I found out about Dana several years, maybe a year and a half after I was involved with Kevin Blanche. But all of those people, Miss Milky the Clown, actually really, I thank her the most because Miss Milky the Clown is a YouTube video maker. For those of you of our listeners, we talk as if everybody knows them, but Miss Milky the Clown 1 is now on YouTube, and she made, in the beginning, her videos now were quite subdued because YouTube reined her in and snapped the whip a bit on her using clips of movies. She used to report she would find video clips around the world reporting on Fukushima and put her own videographic commentary by slowing the video down or repeating the way the news media comes out and says, oh, well, the beach is being poisoned. Like as if it's, they're blowing their nose. And she would make these videos that were kind of hilarious, but would drive home the point of what the heck is going on here. You know what I mean? It's kind of hilarious, but at the same time, very grabbing. So I thank her the most because actually she seriously motivated me to keep looking and keep digging. When I found out about this, I got very minimal information. If it had not been for her video clips, I don't think I would have understood the gravity of the situation. So for me, of the person who has worked the hardest and mostly the most thankless is Miss Milky the Clown, who I'm refraining from using her real name because she's a private person. And she likes to keep her life private. And I would if, I've asked her to interview on our radio show. She's quite shy. She's not interested in being on the radio. So I still want to thank you, Miss Milky the Clown, for the great work that you do, because I feel as if she has brought in, she drives home the point. It's stunning. It is a stunning event that we're living in a world where it really actually does show how much the military controls the planet, is really, in my view, what it does. Because the media is the military.
Yes.
Or maybe the other way around, the military is run by, who knows, that hand is all mixed up,
And I think that Billy mentioned Dana Durnford, who is an extraordinary human being. I think here we have someone who has a disability. He has a disability, and he did this incredible journey of trying to see what, in fact, the coastline of British Columbia looks like, the tidal pools.
Not just he videographed.
He videoed and did photos, documented the coastline, and his detractors have been trying to minimize the work he's done. It is superb. It is superb documentation of what the coastline looks like. There is absolutely no doubt. There should be no doubt in anyone's mind. Something is really, really wrong. And Dana has put his stamp on that. So I think this is an extraordinary, I call him our spirit on the water. He was on the water for 260 days and documenting this. So Dana Durnford, my appreciation is profound, and I try to help him whichever way I can as well.
Hey, Tom.
And
Thomas, all these people,
Finnegan.
Sorry.
Finnegan.
Yeah, I just have one quick thing to say. I just drove across the country, and ironically, I started counting the flocks of birds I saw that were over like 10 birds, and I maybe got 7 flocks across the entire country.
Wow.
So it's pretty devastated, honestly.
It's okay. It's happening.
So it's not just the West Coast, but actually, you know what's ironic? You bring up Dana Durnford. Dana Durnford has probably done. I mean, he has really been the most thankless person. I mean, Miss Milky the Clown has kept herself aside, and so nobody can thank her because she doesn't want to be out there. But Dana has actually a handicapped person going 15,000 miles up and down in a little dinghy boat, sticking a camera in the water, an underground water, to see the bottom of what's going on there in the tide pools and documenting it, having been harassed and now challenged in court.
Close to death.
It is really an incomprehensible amount of effort, and honestly, I think everybody that's listening to this show ought to go to his website, thenuclearproctologist.org. Look at his videos, look at the documentation that he has on there, and actually ask yourself, don't take our word for it, go look for yourself. And then if you feel moved, support him. He still needs your help. He's being challenged in court. And on top of that, he's still investing on learning how to become a better videographer because he's determined to be the journalist that nobody out there wants to be. So my hat is off to Dana Durnford because he still is not giving up, even though he has been challenged. And they have attempted to intimidate him into silence. And I take my lead from Dana Durnford. He has courage. When we talk about put your courage feet on, man, he has them. And so this is what it's going to take. Guess what, folks? It's going to take courage from all of us to stand up to these people who have no problem killing most life on this planet. So if we want to survive, we have to have courage.
Lonnie, one thing, though, is some people have extraordinary abilities like Dana. Not everybody's going to be a Dana. But
everybody has something they can do. The thing is, we've been taught to say no to ourselves. It's time for us to go. There is my little that light, that little light inside you. You got to let it shine. You know what I mean? Like we are here on purpose. I believe this very vehemently. Our spirits picked this time on this planet on purpose, and I believe that we have what it takes to save life on our planet, to help our species, our brothers and sister species on this planet, so that this magnificent thing we call life and love can continue to shine and warm our hearts and warm our lives. I believe that.
You're traveling into an area that I have a real affection for. I call it eternity. You're invoking something that I have a real affection for. I have a romance with eternity, even though I can't prove it. Like
it's
you say,
program, Tom, isn't it? That's another program altogether, isn't it?
The what?
It's another program altogether, isn't it? It's another show.
So let's have that program. I mean, we're coming on 40. It's almost 8:45. It's 8:43. So Finnegan, do you want to jump into this? You've been sort of sitting here listening.
No, I said what I needed to say about those birds. I was really I forgot to tell it to anybody, but I barely saw any real wildlife. There's very little birds.
What about the trees? Were the trees in good shape?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't say.
But not seeing birds. Huh.
It'll be hard to tell with the trees, Lonnie. Once springtime kicks in and the leaves start coming in the trees, you'll maybe see what trees are not coming to leaf. That maybe will show tree damage.
What? Billy, do you know what kind of tree damage there is in Chernobyl? I know in Fukushima the plants are coming back, and the tree damage is difficult to spot because the mutations, you have to kind of really look at the trees.
Well, the trees, I don't know, but over here now, they're in Scotland and in England, they're cutting down a lot of larch trees, right? And they're saying that these trees have some kind of fungal thing. But it started in 2011, right?
Really?
So I'm getting 2 and 2 together and maybe getting 5. I don't know, but
wow.
I mean, I know. I mean, I've put this out before, but nobody's picked up on it. I'd like to see some aerial photographs of the great forests on the west coast of Canada and North America to see if there's any patches of damaged trees.
Well, they cut them down, Billy. Here, they clear cut a lot of those forests.
But there must be standing for us now that an aerial photograph could show if anything happens, has happened to them. But
BC has cut down most of its. I don't think they have any old forest left. It's all gone. They might have 1 or 2%, like a token tree that's 500 years old somewhere still. But they clear cut, and they have programs. They reseed. I mean, they have a friend of mine used to go in the summer and make a lot of money putting pine trees in the ground. Right, they reseed them. But the old growth forests are basically devastated. They're not there anymore. Like the Kevin Blanche and the redwoods, you know.
What about human systems in where you're living, Billy? Does the government keep track of the oncology rates and the diabetes rates and the autoimmune disease rates? Do they keep track? Like, is there some type of
Is this post-Chernobyl? Is this when you're about post-Chernobyl?
Well, even let's just even say post-Fukushima, could we go back and look at anything that the healthcare system where you live in Scotland, where they would keep track of the oncology rates to see if there's a spike? Because I know here in the States,
there will be records, Lonnie. There will be records, right? But they're never linked to radiation. You know, they never think, because the radiation is safe myth has been sold to us for 70 years. So no, there'll be spikes in diabetes and other things down to Chernobyl and cancer deaths. I mean, our cancer's rife here now. I call it Chernobyl's legacy. It's hitting us now. Because these cancers take 20, 30 years to materialise.
Well, this is the devastating thing to think about Chernobyl. Every time I hear the word Chernobyl, I think at least Chernobyl ended. Like, it's not over, the damage it's caused, but they stopped it. Fukushima has not been stopped. It's outrageous. That article last week that said, they can't find the nuclear cores in one of the reactors. Like, really? They're saying that now 5 years later? I mean, and there's no outrage from people. This is the thing. I'm
outraged.
Well, I mean, there are a few people. Honestly, there's only 1 or 2 young people I've ever met that are actually outraged by it all. There are not that many that just...
Lonnie, listen to this one, right? Nothing. Listen to this one, Lonnie, right?
Okay,
the 2 entities that are trying to take Dina Dunford to court, right? We know the facilities, right? One's a university in Canada, and the other one's a big military-backed front for an oceanographic institution.
Woods Hole.
All they need to do, right? You don't need to take Dina to court. They don't need to do all that or troll him or whatever. All they need to go is retrace his steps with a boat and photograph everything that they say should be there. Put it online for everybody to see and prove Dana wrong. But they can't do that because the stuff's not there.
That's a good point. That's right. They could handle this differently. Instead of trying to destroy a life, they could just prove him wrong.
Yes, but they can't because he's right. They can't produce starfish in the shore that are not going to be there. Maybe Walt Disney make a cartoon of it.
Well, they don't want to prove him wrong. They don't want to prove him right. They want nobody to talk about it.
It's silence.
That's what it is. They are attempting. That's why Dana, I really admire Dana's tenacity and his courage, because really they do want to intimidate. Look what happened to Tim DeChristopher and how he stood up to the BLM and to them selling land illegally. Occasionally we'll see him on Democracy Now!, but his activism is pretty much silent. He does nothing. And that is the
terminology of the banks here, Lonnie. The banks were said to be too big to fail, right? And now, thanks to Kevin, Dana, ourselves, everybody, the list of people I made there, we are now too big to fail, Lonnie.
That's
we're too big, and we're gathering momentum. So,
that's right. We're the tsunami. This is always what I say. Fukushima created a human tsunami because eventually the water is still drawing back, but when the tsunami comes in, the nuclear industry will be over. It is, but what's sad about it is it's collapsing around us, at least here in the States. I mean, we had a fire. We've got all along the East Coast, all these aging nuclear power plants. We've got one in Tennessee, open fires and turbines in Tennessee. In Florida, a guy got sucked into a nuclear power duct hole. How did this? Because they found out that the nuclear agency, the entity running that place. Is that my phone?
Yeah.
No, that was me.
I think it's
Okay.
used, Tom.
I'm like looking at my phone going, excuse me. But this is the thing. They found out that the licensee in Florida did not, 10 years ago, they were supposed to put a filter on that duck to keep it from sucking in the big gigantic turtles and manatees down there. They haven't done it. So it sucked up a human being into a nuclear facility. I mean, then we have a fire in Tennessee. We have tritium and untold amounts of other radiation going into the Hudson Bay. I mean, it's gotten to the point where now there are 7 scientists with the NRC who actually filed a lawsuit against the NRC for not following its own rules. That's how bad it's gotten.
And where's the WHO and all this, the World Health Organization?
What? Well, the World Health Organization can't talk because
I know they can't talk
IA
because they're signing a clause.
I mean, and this is the point. Here we are, Fukushima 311, this long, ongoing, non-stop. And people want to pretend like it's not, like this is every single nation on the planet, in my view, ought to have their military involved and all the scientists involved in figuring out how to stop it and how to cover it up or how to figure out a way to not allow it to pollute our entire planet. It is off the charts.
I try to noodle on the reason for this. I know the reasons. I know the information as much as I need to know. I try to noodle on this why it's happening. And in my field in art, if you look back into art history, some of the greatest art that was ever produced, and the artists that had a conscience, like for example, in my history, I'm German, and there was a group of artists during Hitler's time that produced work that attacked and ridiculed and exposed the whole Nazi regime that was happening in front of their eyes. Now, this is in the 20s. This isn't even in the 30s when it already had taken a foothold in the population. And these artists were exhibited by Hitler and denounced for being degenerates, was called the degenerate artists. But if you look into the art world now, there is such an incredible amount of conformity. I call it a trickle-down dominance by conformity. The conformity that each individual, that's my conclusion, that each individual needs to confront that conformity in ourselves in order to have a chance, because it's just going to keep on going. And in my field, the art is not being produced. I mean, there are artists that have a producing work, but they're not being shown in museums. They're not being exhibited. Even Hitler exhibited these so-called degenerate artists. I mean,
this
these
feels like the V for Vendetta movie. Have you guys seen that movie, V for Vendetta?
There was a program called V in the 70s with aliens.
You must watch this movie. It's called V for Vendetta. And it is really about how this was a movie maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And it was kind of like supposed to be in the future, but actually now that I'm reflecting on it, it's exactly. People need to watch that movie. Well,
the Guy Fawkes mask that's where it came from, isn't it?
That's
the originality
right.
of the Guy Fawkes mask.
Oh, okay,
it's
yeah.
about what happened after the government used humans as an experiment, and one of the experiments went out of control and created the main character V, and he gets back at the government and starts to actually creates a violent event that creates a revolution of spirit, so that people take their country, get their humanity back, because people have just been living in fear. Wouldn't you say that's a good synopsis of it without giving the story away, Billy?
Yes, it's worth the watch. It's good. It's a good watch. It gets a bit gets your adrenaline going.
Well, it makes you really think about how we conform. When you said conform, that's really what it's about, but it's about the fear. This is why I tell people, put your courage feet on, because guess what? This is what I learned a long time ago. You can do it afraid. Fear does not have to stop you from taking right action. In fact, a lot of the right action we take, we're scared shitless. Excuse my language, but I mean, a lot of times we just have to do the right thing, even though our instincts tell us, it'd be safer not to. But being safe is destroying our planet. We need people to take action, and it's not just, I don't know where we're at. I mean, I'm going to go to a protest today at noon down Eugene. Eugene Peaceworks is having a protest from noon to 1 o'clock, and I'm going to go down there and support him. But you know what? There'll be like 5 people. They'll look at us like we're just a bunch of old hippies. Oh, yeah, you were those ones that always talk about it. People will cross the street so they won't have to look at us.
Lonnie, we are seen, right, as the non-conformists, right? And actually, that's the way to be. I mean, we are the non-conformists, not conforming to the way the soap operas and the media and the banks want to control us. We are seen as being the ones that are not going along with the show. But actually, we're the good guys, you know.
Well, Gandhi said that about basically this. He said about conformity that what was that? First they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, then they lose. And I think we're kind of like that.
They're on the verge of losing because they're fighting us right now.
I think, yeah, we're in the part. Well, they've ridiculed, or they're probably in a process of ridiculing. But the next step will be to fight. I find this personally. I think this is something that I feel subjected to.
They're fighting already. Dana's been arrested. And
yes, exactly. They're in the fight mode.
They're already fighting, so maybe they're about to lose.
That's what I say. They're about to lose because that's Gandhi's axiom. You know.
The evidence is increasing. The evidence is increasing, guys, isn't it?
The sad part about them losing.
The cancers are. Yeah.
I mean, we lose we're all losing. There's no winning in this deal. That's the sad part. 5 years in, we're realizing
nobody's winning.
The world has changed, period. And we have to have that realization that this is what our reality is. For me, the first fundamental primary directive is shut down all nuclear power plants, get the scientists to have real scientific inquiry, and let's start resolving this and figuring out how to stop harming our environment and our species and other species, period. That's
here. Let's do the right thing. Yes, people.
Do the right thing.
Yes.
The scientists need to do the right thing. These people that own these moguls, this is the thing I don't get. They're going to get super rich anyways. I mean, just to figure out this solution, there's going to be a lot of jobs created, scientific jobs, and things to be sold and bought and purchased from all of that. So I don't get why they don't want to actually do the right thing, and they just insist on harming all life on our planet.
That'll be our eternity.
Their own genes, Lonnie. Their own generations below them. Their own kids and grandkids. These scientists are silent. These media people that are silencing the media, they're sold out for a few pounds, or they're being blackmailed, whatever way they went down. And but they've got kids and they've got grandkids and great grandkids. I can't understand that, the mentality.
That'll be our eternity discussion. I want to do a program, a symposium for life on eternity, where we deal with this esoteric part, because I think it's real. Lonnie says she can't prove the fact we're here for a reason. Like I say, I have a romance with the idea of eternity. I think I can have some input, and other people can, theorize on some of this. I know why it's happening.
That's an excellent idea. We'll do another one. We could do this again. I have another symposium for life here on my radio show on a Friday like this. I think this is a good venue for it because there's listeners out there who don't go to YouTube. And I think a lot of our discussion is valuable just to help people think in a different way. And that's what this show is about, is helping people, really think in a different way, remember that they can get their courage back, and that there is hope. I do believe there's hope for the future if we really put our minds to it. Our thoughts are things.
Lonnie, how many people do you get? What's your viewing participation?
I honestly don't know. I've been told from a small amount to a large amount, so somewhere in between. But we have 20 seconds left, you guys. I want to thank all three of you for joining us here today on March 11th. As I say, put your courage feet on. There is hope. Please do take action. And let's do another symposium for life, you guys. This is a fabulous idea. I've enjoyed it.
Lonnie, it's Dana's live stream in 2 minutes' time. His 24-hour live stream.
Thank you for joining us.